So I was actually excited that this album came up because I haven't listened to it before and because I've heard so much about it. I've heard it praised by everyone. Even like the hip hop heads appreciate this album. People who are super into lyrics and dope beats, they can look at this and appreciate it. But I've also heard that a lot of people don't even consider this a rap album because there's not a lot of rapping on it. It's a lot of singing, and they put it more in the R&B category with a little bit of rapping, as opposed to rapping with a little bit of R&B.
They said the same thing about Igor, which came after this album.
Yeah, I haven't listened to that either.
Yeah, but I just remember that flying around quite a bit. So I kind of like to do the kind of I'm curious to see what some of your pre-thoughts are going into it, so I can kind of look out for it. Like kind of what were when you were listening to this, like the first listen, what were some things that you were kind of, like, what did it give you? And also going in not having heard this.
Yeah, going in not having heard it, I didn't really know what to expect because I hadn't listened to Tyler, the Creator, in so long that I had no idea where he was at. So hearing it, I just thought it was very aesthetically pleasing with how it sounded. It was very easy to listen to, and it was easy on the ears. Like, it was pleasant to just let it play, and the instrumentals and the beats and a lot of the sounds are really beautiful, and there's a lot of jazz influence. So that was kind of shocking, especially it's contrasting to his voice and his earlier music.
And he was talking about that in his video too, where like when he's talking about having Lil Wayne on a track, like he wanted his high-pitched voice on this kind of slower, deeper kind of going beat and this bassiness, and I thought that was interesting. Some of mine were, okay, I'm going to a Tyler, the Creator album. I don't really know what to expect. And production-wise, the first thing that came to mind was I don't like beats that sound like a local artist created it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I got out of, I want to say like the first, I would say spotty within the first 6 tracks or so, where they just didn't sound like I don't know how to like describe that, but behind it where it's like, okay, this sounds kind of cheesy.
Right.
So that was kind of like my first thought about it. And then there's something different when I read, there's like a couple steps for me. It's like I hear it the first time, I start reading the lyrics, and then if I can get around to it, if I can find a video where they're talking about their album, then my whole thought process begins to change. And just hearing him talk about, like, in his video, he talks a lot of production. And, I worked on, I forget which one it was, 911, Mr. Lonely, I think it was, where he recreated that like 25 different times. Where it started off one way, he had a hook in here, changed it up, switched it. But kind of like when he's talking about the work that he puts into it and the sounds that he hears and then it makes me really respect his craft. It's like this is literally his child that he's very careful about. So I checked my first self where it's like, yo, you were just saying that those are kind of, some local artist beats that don't sound great, but he's like really putting a lot of work, and this is the sound that he wants. And it's like, okay, like,
and he produced it.
He produced the entire thing for me.
I think that's a really notable thing to point out with this album is that he became an artist, and he didn't just make beats and rapped over them. He created songs with structure and hooks and bridges and all sorts of stuff. So he basically built the sound up from himself, like a Lego set. He just added layers onto everything and built everything up.
And occasionally taking a brick out and exchanging it for a different color.
Right. Yeah. So it's pretty incredible when you think about it. Him rapping, writing the songs, getting all the features, and just basically producing the album himself and trying to bring his vision to life.
Definitely bringing some vision to life. And so for me, like, it definitely goes from, even if you don't like it, you have to respect it at the end of the album. And so I left respecting it a lot. I'm not saying I didn't like it. There were parts that I really liked, some that I didn't, but I really respect this album.
Yeah. So with that said, let's jump into it.